All right, good morning and welcome to Section 8 Consulting. Today we're going to be talking about knowledge, which is power. For a lot of you, when dealing with housing, low-income housing, affordable housing, Section 8 housing, and all the many constructs that go into this, one of the things that I see the most out of all the clients we deal with as a company is the fact that most people are simply not apprised of their rights, rules, and regulations. I intend on correcting a bit of that in this video to help you guys. So think of it as a kind of a toolbox of things that could further educate you, especially in complex situations when you're, dealing with housing authorities, HUD, and so on. There are many published manuals out there on the internet, and there are many more that are probably not accessible to the average person. So today I hope to address a few. But before I do, I would like to do a short introduction, as I always do. I'm the owner of Section8Consulting.com. I work with around 700 to 1,000 clients a year. The services I provide are for people that are having trouble navigating the system, want to have a better understanding, and also those of you that are out there seeking assistance to get housing and vouchers and so on. Now, as many of you know, housing authorities, HUD, and even 211, those guys can offer you free information. Pursue that. Pursue it to its end. And if you're still troubled, you're still losing sleep, and you're not getting anywhere, or you simply don't have the time, then I would advise at that point you can reach out to myself or my company or anybody else that's qualified to do so to help you with your case. As a company, we help people with casework. I work typically with clients around 1 month to 4 months, and we offer very short consults, about 20 minutes, where you can speak to me and we can talk about some basic issues. But do understand I cannot do research and answer complex questions during that short 20 minutes. It wouldn't make sense, too much to teach. That being said, let's go ahead and open up the toolbox of some things that I believe might be able to help you all a little bit. Now over here, I'm going to show you, this is one of the more infamous ones. It's 7420.10G, and this is issued by HUD itself, and as you can see, it's a complete introductory guidebook. I would strongly advise taking a look at this. It's a bit dated, of course. It's been around 20 years. Think about HUD and housing and all that. These manuals have always been around. They just keep adding to them. So each year there's more, or they may change certain sections. This is an excellent point in a kind of a boiler guide, boilerplate guide of how things functionally work, and it also will definitely apprise you of many of your rights, whether at the state and federal level. So that link will be included in the bottom of the video. If it's not there, I may have it in a different place, but I think that you've already seen that the name of it, and you can probably look it up. Its first issuance was in 2001. All right, moving on. Public Housing Occupancy Guides, another excellent tool and resource for most of you. Now, this is also issued by HUD itself. It's a lengthy read. So you remember the last manual was 435 pages. This one's around 235. It's not going to answer every question, but it's a lot more than many of you already know. And so, again, I would tell you that it's boiler. And what I mean by boilerplate, when it comes to this stuff, you also understand that policies, procedures, regulations, and other things that each individual housing authority follows is completely different from one housing authority to another. But I think that having a firm understanding of the wider system might be able to help you, and it targets many of the issues you guys have. Many of the issues y'all bring to the table with me. The difference between what I'm offering here and what I'm offering up here from what I have on my own operation manuals, it's much more specific and related directly to the housing authority itself. And moving on from there, we're going to go ahead and take a look here. These are your housing handbooks. You're going to want to take a look at that. These are all updated. This is 1060.3, 2261, 4000.1, and it goes on. It covers, again, these booklets cover all the primary issues that HUD has made mandates, rules, and policies about, and they are the handbooks. With these, you're no longer wandering around. So, you're ingratiated by applying. You're ingratiated by receiving a voucher if you get one. However, most of you really don't even know the rules in which you're playing by. Let me tell you, if you're held captive in the system and you don't know the rules you play by, then you're going to have a very difficult time. You'll be more of a victim. We all know about the housing authorities. We all know how difficult, ridiculous, and how hard it can be to navigate things and understand your rights. This is my attempt at helping you kind of navigate that particular process. So I'm going to check the time real quick because I don't want to make this a very long video. So it looks like we're at about 5 minutes. About 3 more minutes. We'll close it out at 8. That being said, one thing I want to mention to you guys, we've had a kind of a hiatus for about 2 weeks. Kind of needed a break. The company, the pandemic's been especially difficult on me and this company. And so we have to take time off, and that's part of what I've done. There's been very little videos. Also, as a new policy, some of our pricing will change for September 1st, 2022. For those of you that are watching more recently, obviously the more dated the video is, the less useful it'll be. And also, we will now be closing the last week of every month. And that's because I'm kind of arriving at that age where I'd like to travel a little bit when I wish to do so. And as you may know, since HUD and housing authorities are always going to have problems, and I'm always going to be working, you kind of have to force yourself into time off. So I'm letting people know that if you do book a month worth of casework, use a technicality, you would be receiving 5 weeks, because 1 week would be void of contact and I'm likely to be traveling. Same thing with my office managers, which I have hired too to assist. All right, guys. Beyond that, one thing that is really important to understand right now, and to consider your first warning of 2022, is we're entering a great area or a great season. And as you know, as we exit the madness of summer and the great demand for vouchers and housing, we're now going in a cool-off period. This cooling off period will become progressively better and better as we arrive to the first of the year, and then it will start to kind of disintegrate going into March. That time between March and September are the most difficult months, and I warn y'all every year as we arrive in the new year to watch out after March, because after that it gets incrementally harder to get housing and vouchers and so on. So you're at the very beginning stage as we arrive for September 1st. That would be the time, if you're going to make your move and start doing casework, then you should do so as we arrive at that point. Another thing I'm going to tell you is something this. The demand is now starting to level off. Throughout the pandemic, there was a great demand, and of course, there were a lot of people evicted, and so there was a big kind of a movement around the country. Many states were unable to handle the demands, and I'm starting to see that kind of level off. I don't mean that it's a dead drop and everything's going to be great, but what I'm starting to see is, the market is starting to normalize some. So I think that this would probably, starting in September 1st, would be very opportune all the way till March to address cases. Your fair and reasonable expectation, guys. Look, guys, I don't walk on water. I don't perform miracles. And the work that I do with clients, typically cases take about 4 months. And only in very rare circumstances, if you booked with our company, would we actually be able to produce any significant results out of 30 days. That would be next to mythical. And so I would advise y'all to consider that very strongly when booking, if you do so. And again, if you book short consults for 20 minutes, then, we can address simple issues, but I cannot get into the complexities in which many cases do often have. So it's kind of seeing whether or not you have a great case. Could we be able to produce quicker results for you or not? So, all right, guys, we're at 8 minutes. I've enjoyed talking with you, and I hope to see you again. Thank you. Goodbye.